Arizona wins this game against the Utah Runnin Utes. The final score: Arizona Wildcats 69 to the Utah Runnin Utes 51. The Arizona Wildcats had a definite advantage uh, with the game being played in Tucson, Arizona. Um, there was that 12th man or whatever they say, or they call it a sixth man or something. So the fans uh, were really helpful in you know uh, making sure that the Wildcats came out with a little bit of fire. Um, Although that wasn't the case right in the beginning because um, Delon Wright from the Utah Running Utes, he had he scored like 7 points or something like that in the first uh, couple minutes of the game, and there was he was actually leading. The, it, it was 4-0, and then 4-0 with the Utah Run Utes, and then Ashley knocked down a field goal, but then Delon Wright from the Arizona from Utah Running Utes knocked down a three-pointer. So it was 7-2, and pretty much all of the points had been made by Delon Wright. But then, from what I heard, is that uh, Rondé Hollis Jefferson kind of locked down pretty much on Delon Wright, and so Delon Wright wasn't able to score too much after that. He scored three more points. Um, One of them was a free throw, and one of them was a field goal. So he ended up with 10 total points at the end, but he had 7 assists, so he did do really well on his assist um, uh, statistics um, for the Utah Run Utes. Um, that's about his average, or 8. It actually is his average, I think, for assists. But as far as the University of Arizona Wildcats, they had T.J. McConnell with 6 assists. So he was on par for his average amount of assists. He usually gets, like, I would say probably about 7, close to 7 or maybe 8 assists a game, but he ended up with 16 points. So some of that, some of the assists that he normally gets were uh, were sacrificed because of the high amount of shots that he took. He took 10 shots, but he made 8 of them. So he was on the mark today. He definitely was feeling comfortable, and he was making good shots. Um, as far as the rebounding, I think the last couple games or something, the last 60 minutes of the previous games from the Arizona Wildcats, Caleb Tarczewski I think, had a total of 2 rebounds, and Caleb Tarczewski is a 7-foot guy, so he should been getting more rebounds, and everyone kind of harped on him quite a bit for not having very many rebounds. But in this game he had uh, he had 5 total rebounds, 3 or more offensive, um, which is always very good to me. I think offensive rebounds are extremely valuable. Rondé Hollis Jefferson had 4 rebounds, 4 offensive rebounds out of his 7 total. Brennan Ashley had 3 offensive rebounds out of his 8 total rebounds, and Stanley Johnson had 4 offensive rebounds out of his 9 total rebounds. He would have got if Stanley Johnson would have got one more rebound, then he would have got a double-double because he had 18 points tonight. He was the only one that knocked down a three-pointer. From the stats I'm looking at the Arizona Wildcats stats. So we were the Arizona Wildcats were a total of 1 for 7 from three-point land. So we could not, we nobody could hit the three-pointers, and you got Elliot Pitts in there, and you got Gabe York in there, and neither of them could knock down their three-pointers. Elliot Pitts took two tries from three-point land, and Gabe York took one from opportunity from three-point land, but neither of them could get any points. I think that Gabe York still has a little bit of ankle issues, so that's one of the reasons why the coach for the Arizona Wildcats, Sean Miller, didn't play Gabe York too much. Gabe York, I think, played for 6 minutes, while Elliot Pitts played for 23 minutes. So that's where you can see that one of the biggest things that was something that everybody was very concerned about was the Utah Runnin Utes. They had actually only been out-rebounded one time in a game, and I think that was a game that they had lost. But they hadn't been out-rebounded in any other games. The Arizona Wildcats were out-rebounded in 2 games, and what were the 2 games that they were out-rebounded in? Well, the game against UNLV and the game against the Oregon State Beavers. So both of those games they lost because they were out-rebounded. But if they can out-rebound the opposing team, which they did today, I think they had 40 total. Arizona Wildcats had 40 total rebounds. 17 of them were offensive, which is fantastic as compared to the Utah Runnin Utes, which only had 19 total rebounds, and only 4 of those 19 were offensive rebounds. Let's see. And there wasn't. The other. I think Petal. I think is his Podal. Podal, I think is his name. Jacob Podal. He was another one that we had to watch out for. That from the Utah Runnin Utes. We're looking out for Delon Wright, and we were also looking for Jacob Podal. And Podal, I think, ended up with 6 points, 4 total rebounds, and all 4 of them were defensive. So he was kind of a non-factor. He's a freshman. He's also 7 foot, just like Caleb Tarczewski. Here's one thing that I was wondering about with Oregon State and the Arizona Wildcats. Whenever Arizona Wildcats played Oregon State and they lost, then Tarczewski had 4 fouls. So maybe I wonder if he would have played got more rebounds, because I think he only ended up with 2 rebounds, 1 offensive and 1 defensive rebound. But if he would have worked out with more rebounds, then I wonder if he would have fouled out. So you kind of have to weigh how many total points he contributes to the team, which today he had he had five or he had 7 total points that he added. Um, as compared, you have to figure out the amount of total points that he adds to the amount of total rebounds that he can provide. We think, I think that it's more of a contribution. You get more of a contribution from Caleb Tarczewski whenever you have him getting a high amount of rebounds. Um, Even though he has more of a tendency to foul out, it's still he still makes a great impact whenever a 7-foot guy like Caleb Tarczewski is able to get quite a bit of rebounds. He just can clear people out. He might not get a whole lot of those rebounds, but he would allow other guys like Brennan Ashley to get 8 rebounds, Hollis Jefferson to get 7 rebounds, Stanley Johnson to get 9 rebounds. And shoot, even T.J. McConnell ended up with 3 rebounds. So, and they were all defensive, but still, it's really nice contributions that you get from T.J. McConnell. As far as the turnovers, the Arizona Wildcats only had 10 turnovers. Let's see, T.J. McConnell he had 2 turnovers. The person that had the most turnovers was Rondé Hollis Jefferson with 3 turnovers. Um, points to assist, the turnover ratio is always very important, especially with your point guards. I wanted to see how many assists that Jackson Cartwright had. He ended up with Jackson Cartwright ended up with 1 assist, with 2 assists. Sorry about that. 2 assists and 0 turnovers. So so Jackson Cartwright did really good. I think what Jackson Cartwright was doing is he was making it more individual play instead of playing as a team. And I think that is one of the reasons why he started to deteriorate in team strength. But once he gets a lot of those assists, and once he plays like a point guard, dribble penetrating and then dishing it off to an open guard that's on the side, maybe for a 3-pointer or a field goal inside the paint or inside the key, and that I think that's his key, or that's one of the good benefits for Jackson Cartwright. As far as second chance points, like I said, the University of Arizona Wildcats had 17 offensive rebounds, while the Utah Runnin Utes only had 4 offensive rebounds. So second chance points there was a huge difference. It was 18 second chance points as compared for Arizona Wildcats had 18 second chance points, while the Utah Runnin Utes only had 3 second chance points. Points off turnovers. I noticed that Stanley Johnson had a couple steals. Let's see, he ended up with. Actually, Stanley Johnson only had. Oh yeah, he only had two steals actually, and he took those down and made points off of them. So, the points off turnover. Is it a steal or a point off a turnover? I'm not quite sure. But anyway, so we had Stanley Johnson with 2 steals. Four. The Arizona Wildcats only had 4 total steals, but that was pretty good because the Utah Running Utes only had 4 steals also. And let's see, 11 assists for the Arizona Wildcats as compared to 13 for the Utah Running Utes, which is, assists are really nice. They're really nice to have. I wish that the Arizona Wildcats would have been able to get more assists than they did, but it's still not bad. And only having 10 turnovers, that's not bad. I think that Sean Miller for the coach for the Arizona Wildcats, would be pretty satisfied with that. Field goal percentage, the Arizona Wildcats shot 49%, while the Utah Running Utes only shot 39%. I think it was the presence of the big man, too much big bodies in there for the Arizona Wildcats. So the Utah Running Utes just could not dribble penetrate, could not get inside, and that's one reason I think why the Arizona Wildcats pretty much dominated inside and the rebounds and things like that. Although height is not it, it height is not always the biggest factor. It's also your desire to get those rebounds, how bad you want it. That really outweighs height almost all the time. So anyway, the Utah Runnin Utes had 11 bench points, while the Arizona Wildcats 6 bench points. So, in the Utah Runnin Utes, in their favor, they shot 9. They made 9 of their 3-pointers. They shot 19 3-pointers. They had shot 19 3-pointer attempts, but they only made 9, and that's very good compared to only making 1 3-pointer out of 7 attempts for the Arizona Wildcats. So that's one reason that the Utah Runnin Utes were able to stay in this game was 3-pointer, was being able to make their 3-pointers. That's 27 points. So that's over half of the Utah Runnin Utes points were from 3-pointers, and that definitely was not the case for the Arizona Wildcats, which only had 1 3-pointer that they made. Let's see, we had 24. The University of Arizona Wildcats had 24 free throw attempts. They made 16 of them, which is not too bad. I guess they shot 66%, and then the Utah Runnin Utes only had 14 free throw attempts. So the Arizona Wildcats went to the line quite a bit more. So there was quite a bit of a lean in the Arizona Wildcats' favor in the free throw attempts also. So rebounds and just killed Utah Runnin Utes. And let's see, just second chance points. That was one of the things that just killed the Utah Runnin Utes. But we'll see what happens. The Arizona Wildcats, whenever the Arizona Wildcats have to go up to Utah and play the Utah Runnin Utes at Utah's home court in a month or two, then it will be an interesting thing to see, because the Utah Runnin Utes, I think that after they got demolished this game, then they're going to be pretty much fired up, because Utah Runnin Utes were having a really, really good season. In fact, they were ranked higher than the Arizona Wildcats. The Utah Runnin Utes had a ranking of 8, a national ranking of 8, while the Arizona Wildcats had a national ranking of 10. So That was before this game, but now that after this game, then the Utah Runnin Utes is probably going to drop down a little bit. But anyway, I think that the Utah Runnin Utes will definitely have a chip on their shoulder the next time that they play the Arizona Wildcats, and they're going to try and get a little bit of retribution, and they're going to have the fan base in their favor for the Utah Runnin Utes the next time that the Arizona Wildcats play them. So anyway, the Arizona Wildcats win this game. Final score, Arizona Wildcats 69 to the Utah Runnin Utes 51.